Hi everyone, this is Nathan from the ebookreader.com. For this comparison video, I'm going to compare the Nook Touch and the Sony PRS-350. So this will pretty much apply to any other Sony reader. The larger ones, the 6-inch PRS-350, the only difference is it has some memory cards and it has support for audio. For the most part, all the features are the same. The same goes for the Daily Edition. It has a few additional features, but with the wireless and all, and it has 2-page landscape. But for the most part, the features are very similar. So I'm going to show you the differences with these. So these are both the home screen layouts for each of them. Actually, the home screen, this is the library view on Nook. The home screen looks like this. So mainly the same thing. They have the same screen. They both have Pearl screens, and they both have the same infrared touchscreen technology. So these two devices are very comparable. The Nook sells for $139. This particular unit retails for $179, but it can be found for as low as $109 or $120 at certain retailers. So it all comes down to that. The PRS-350, however, is a lot more expensive. It's $100 more than the Nook. It's or actually $90 more than the Nook. It retails for $229, and it's hard to find for lower than that. So let's go ahead and show you the different features. They both support Adobe EPUB and Adobe PDF. The Sony also supports some additional formats. The Nook just stops at those two. The Sony also will support text, I believe HTML, documents as well, a couple other formats. So let me show you what we've got for the book features. If we go into a book here, let me go to the library. So the touchscreens both work really well on both. The infrared touchscreens are really nice. The Sony, it has the different text options down here. It has 6 different text options, and then it also has like zooming. This comes in handy for PDFs, not so much for ebooks, obviously. And then the Nook, it has a lot more settings. So this is what's great about the Nook is you have 7 font sizes, and you have 6 different font types. There's also line spacing options and margin options. And you can also turn off publisher default. Say if you have some specific layout, you got some embedded fonts or whatever, you can turn off the publisher defaults so that none of this stuff will actually work anymore. It'll still work for the text size options, but none of these line spacing or font options will work with publisher defaults off. So on the Sony, the main problem I have with the Sony is it only has one font choice. You can't get any other fonts on here unless you actually go in. I have this written up on my website if you want to learn how. You go in and actually modify the CSS of the book, then you can change the fonts. Let me show you. Let me see which one has a different font. I believe this one has a different font. Yeah, so I put in a bold font on this one. So it's a little bit more legwork if you want to change fonts on a Sony, and then of course that only works for DRM-free books. You can't do that with DRM books. So whereas with the Nook, you can do that with, it doesn't matter, you can change the font with whatever books you want. So the Nook, it has Wi-Fi, so the Sony you're going to have to do all the side loading using your computer. That's one major difference. As far as options go, the Sony has a lot more options because it's got these adjust views, and it's also got the on-screen notes, where the Nook, it has notes, but it works with an on-screen keyboard. You can tie the notes to a word, where the Sony you can actually come on and mark up on here. In the Sony you can export the notes as well, so that's one thing you can't do with the Nook. You can't export the notes, and they don't sync with the other Nook stuff for some reason. But so that's one difference you got with the Sony here as far as notes go. They both have highlights and they both have bookmarks, so that kind of goes the same way. You hold down on the screen to access the stuff. Or the Sony, actually, you double tap to bring that up, and then you got your item right there. And then on the Nook, you hold down and it'll bring up your options for highlighting and notes and the dictionary. So the dictionary pops up down here on the Sony. One difference with the Sony is it's got some different dictionaries. You've got some different options here, some translation dictionaries. So the Nook just has the Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. So they both have search. A lot of the features are comparable. They both have search. The Sony turns pages. You got the buttons down here. The Nook, you can turn pages with your fingers, and it's got buttons built into the side right here. They're a little bit firm. So if you hold down on the Nook, you get the page turns really fast. Same goes with the Sony. So that's a really nice way to speed through, look through a book really fast here. It looks like the Nook's going a little bit faster actually. So yeah, that's one difference. You can actually do that with the Sony by holding down as well. With the Nook, you got to use the page buttons to access the fast page turn feature. Okay, another difference that the Sony readers offer is they have the different orientation, so you can switch into landscape mode if you want. One thing that the Nook lacks is any kind of landscape mode, which I find surprising. A couple other things in here, they've got you got those word logs where it keeps track of all the words you've looked up in the dictionary. So when it comes to PDFs, the Sonys definitely have the advantage. Let me show you a PDF here if I can find the right one. Okay, so here's a look at the same PDF on the Sony and on the Nook. So the major difference with the Sony, well, other than the 5-inch screen, is that it has a lot more features. There's different preset features, so if you have some 2 or 3 column PDFs, you can view those like that, and then when you turn pages, it'll scroll down the columns. The Sony also has the custom zoom dial, where you can come in here and go like this and zoom it into whatever you want, and then drag the page around to whatever location you want, and then you can lock it right there. And there's some different presets up here for fit to width and fit to height. So the Nook, that's pretty much all you get with the Nook. It's not very good for PDFs, and for some reason it kind of pushes everything to the left over there. So I mean, it doesn't have any zooming capabilities. The only option it has is reflow, which is you tap one of these and then it'll zoom in the text, but it often does funky things to the layout with the images and stuff like that. This works good for text-based PDFs, but it's going to be odd with anything with images or tables or anything. So the Sony also has reflow, so it also offers that as well. If you come in here and change the text size to anything other than small, it will reflow it as well. So the main difference obviously with the Sony is you got the different options, and you've also got landscape mode to switch it over to the other option right here, which helps a lot just by zooming the page in. Another thing with the Sony is it's got this text darken feature where you can go into the options and darken the text, so that sometimes that helps a lot with the when you have PDFs with light text. You can come in here and change the darkness of the text. It doesn't work as good as it does on the Kindle, where you can get really dark, crisp text. It kind of affects the background a little more. It takes a little more adjustments with the custom zoom dial, but the Sonys definitely have the edge in the PDF department, that's for sure. So obviously the main advantage with the Nook is that it has Wi-Fi built in, so you can it's got shopping right here, and you can just go into the menu right here and hit the shop icon. So the Sony, unless you get the PRS-950, which is 300 bones, none of them have the wireless options for downloading. You got to do everything with your computer. So the Sony makes little notes a little bit easier. They've got this icon right here where you can access all your notes, where the Nook, it's all within your ebooks, and like I said, there's no way to export your notes. With the Sonys you can. There's also collections with the Sonys. The Nook has a different kind of thing right here where you go into your library, and then you can set up shelves, different shelves, but essentially make favorites using shelves. With the Sony, you put everything into collections, so they're kind of the same, but there's different layouts, different methods to get there. Okay, so here's an interesting observation. There's one other detail with the Sony. All of them come with the stylus that comes up here in the top corner. You can take this out to do on-screen notes. You can everything works with it the same way as your fingers. You can do whatever. Odd thing about this, it doesn't seem to work on the Nook. I don't know why. It's got the same touchscreen technology. That's just a little bit odd. Doesn't react on the Nook. A couple other quick differences with the Sony is it's got the applications menu in here where you can do some handwriting using the touchscreen. It's got the image viewer, so you can't view images on the Nook, but you can set custom screensavers. So you can actually do that on both of these, set custom screensavers. And then the Sonys, they have options for text memos, and they also have the dictionary accessible from here, so you can type in words to look up in the dictionary. Whereas the Nook, for some reason, it doesn't have any option to type words in the dictionary. You can just look them up when you're in the book. So I'm going to wrap up this review right now. I'm going to cover the stuff in more detail. I'm going to write up a written review with all the differences. Didn't have time to cover everything in the video, so check out the ebookreader.com for more details. Thank you for watching.